We're live in Cape May, New Jersey. We're with Mike Penders from Manassas, Virginia, who crashed our party. He's a lawyer from Manassas. He's a cybersecurity expert, but he's not doing his job, so I have to call his partners and say that we corralled him into our show, and so he can't get any of his work done. We're also with my new BFF. I like that, right? My new BFF, the mayor of Middle Township, Tim Donahue. Great guy. I love this guy. Also joining us now on the line live, Doug Steinhardt. Let me tell you who Doug Steinhardt is. He's got a lot of titles. He is the chairman of Warren County Republican Party. He is the chairman of the New Jersey Republican Party. There is a Republican Party in New Jersey. Unlike Virginia, we don't have one. They actually have a party with like people in it, and like they have an office and stuff. We don't have any of that. Maybe I should go to his office and see how it's done. And he's also a Republican State Committee member, and he's on the Republican National Committee, and he's with us now. Doug Steinhardt, great to have you with us. You're with Mike Penders live here, and the mayor of Middle Township, my new best friend, Tim Donahue.
Well, you pick good friends. Good morning. How are you? I know the mayor well. He's a great guy and really represents Middle Township well. In fact, I know his brother as well, former chairman down in Monmouth County, Mike Donahue, Monmouth County, Cape May County, Mike Donahue, and who's recently back in political action too. So the Donahue family's taken over down there, which is good. They're good people.
Good morning, Doug. Great to hear your voice.
All right, so
Mayor,
just for clarification, Mike Penders just came for breakfast and crashed our show. So just like he's not my BFF, but Tim's my BFF. But the guy's growing on me. I mean, it's just like a crabgrass. He grows on you, then you get accustomed to it. So now I got his number. I got to stay in touch. But he's been growing on me, so I kind of like him. I got to read a text here. Wayne in Glen Allen says, "Did you ever do any horse racing at Mays Landing?" No, that's not a real racetrack, Glenn. That's like a fair race. No, I never did that, but I did race in New Jersey, Meadowlands, Freehold, Garden State, where else? Delaware, Brandywine, Liberty Bell, Philadelphia, Roosevelt, Yonkers, and then I had a stake horse in New York, and I went to Buffalo and Batavia and Vernon Downs, so that's all by memory. He also says, I built the IHOP there in Mays Landing in 1999. What do you think of that? IHOP and Mays
You
Landing.
learn something new every day.
Good deal. Okay, let's get to Doug. Doug, tell me about the state. I'm jealous, Doug, because it sounds like you guys have a Republican Party up in New Jersey. I'm from Virginia. We don't have one. How do we get one?
Yeah, I mean, I inherited a state organization that was sort of had fallen on hard times, but over the course of the last 2.5 years, and we've really seen a resurgence. 2019 was the best statewide Republican showing that we've had in 28 years. It's 29 years now, since 1991. We're down right where you are in the heart of LD1, Cape May and Cumberland counties. We flipped the first legislative district. Yep, won all 3 legislative seats, took them away from the Democrats, held served in a bunch of other counties. Same district that we flipped Jeff Van Drew. He has now joined the ranks of the Republicans, so we're proud to have Jeff representing us in CD2. The momentum we got from last year is going to carry us into 2020, and we feel real good about picking up our targeted races in CD3, a little further to the west, 7, 11, 5, and re-electing Chris Smith in CD4. So lots of exciting stuff happening for us. It's due owing to folks like the Donahues, the Mayor Donahue, and the hard work that he's doing in Middle Township, and mayors just like him across the state of New Jersey that are not shying away. They're proud to be Republicans. They're not going to be shouted in the corner by Democrats, and they roll up their sleeves and they come out swinging.
All right, so I have to tell you 2 of my New Jersey Republican stories. I worked as a very young man on the Chris Smith for Congress campaign in 1976, where he got like 27% of the vote, and then in 1978, where I think he beat Frank Thomas or something, Frank Thompson. I also worked on the Jeff Bell for Senate campaign in 78, where he beat Clifford Case in the primary, and then, of course, we got beat by Bill Bradley, I think. Yes?
Bill Bradley,
in 1978. So That's my political history. I also, in 1980, I worked on, in 78 and 80, I also worked on the Charles Wiley for Congress campaign in Middlesex. Names you probably don't remember. But I was pretty active back in the day. And I was the New Jersey chairman of Young Americans for Freedom, YAF, back in the day. Roger Stone was the Republican Party, the Young Republicans chairman. We had a revolt, and we threw him out. And at the time, he was married to Anne. See how memory serves. I go way back to this stuff. But Roger Stone, actually, it was Mike Penders. It was a coup. It was a coup, as I recall, Doug. We threw him out. Of course, now he's in jail, but it's all good.
I just want to ask our chairman, as an old Madison, Morris County boy, who is running there, and whatever happened to Brett Schundler? Speaking about boy
Brett
wonders,
Schundler.
Whatever happened
from
So
Jersey City?
Brett was the old Jersey City mayor, ran for governor, works for a private charter school still in Jersey City. So he's kept busy on the education side. And always, as you well know, I think that was always a big passion of Brett's and his family, for that matter. Madison, Morris County area, right now it is Democrat Mikey Sherrill, who, contrary to her election promises, said she would be independent, has voted with Nancy Pelosi over 95% of the time during her 1.5 years in Congress, which should come as no surprise to anybody. But we have a young lady named Rosemary Becky, a tax attorney from Alpine, who's going to be running against her. And we are really excited about our prospects there. A Monmouth poll about 2 weeks ago had us running dead even with Mikey Sherrill. And we've just got a better candidate and better messaging statewide than the Democrats do.
Where did you look? When you looked at that district, where did you lose? Was it Morristown? What were the big Dem?
Look, it was statewide. We got caught up in a real red wave that year. Big distinction between 2018 and 2020 was not having President Trump at the top of the ticket. Right. These were districts. That was a district that President Trump won in 2016. Yet without him at the top of the ballot, we lost it in 2018. Having him back at the top of the ballot in 2020 gives us a lot more optimism that it's a seat we're going to be able to carry. And as I said, relatively recent polling puts us in a good spot. President Trump. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What did Trump carry that by in 2016?
I don't remember the actual number. It was less than 10%. But the president carried every one of those targeted districts that I mentioned, with the exception of CD7, which was Leonard Lance's old district. But he only lost CD7 by less than a percentage point. And we have Tom Kean, Governor Tom Kean's son,
his son,
Senator Kean. Yep, his son, Tom Kean Jr., is going to be the candidate in CD7. Look, it's a great family, long history, deep roots in New Jersey, extremely well respected. Taking on, carpetbagger Tom Malinowski. Tom's another one who's voted with Nancy Pelosi 100% of the time. We feel real good about Tom Kean's ability to defeat Tom Malinowski and our picking up CD7.
Yeah, I just want to shout out to former Governor Kean.
Great guy.
He was responsible for bringing me to Washington in 1992 to serve in the final year, what turned out to be the final year of the first Bush administration. So he's and I worked actually with Tom Jr. We worked together.
I won my bet. By the way, Doug, I bet $10 here to my new BFF Tim Donahue that Mike Penders could not get through a segment without dropping a name. Pay up, dude. Come on, I want it cash money.
I just hope you're not paying Mike's hourly rate, whatever that is.
That's funny.
It's like $1,000 an hour. I can't
real
afford
quick,
his rate.
I was able to verify for you. Trump won in 16 by about 1%. It was a real slim margin in 11. But like I said, we're pulling even now, and as things ramp up heading into November, we will give them the resources that they give Rosemary the resources that she needs to make sure that she can run a good campaign.
All right, well, I'm going to come up there. I'm from Madison, so I'm going to have to do my show up there one day. Doug, we'll have you there.
Get up and join us. Heck yeah.
Now, tomorrow I'm in Spring Lake. Rumor has it you're going to be there.
I was just going to say, I spoke to Tony Marie yesterday, and she and her husband are like a lot of other business owners around New Jersey. They're struggling. Governor Murphy has has really has buried small business owners from one end of the state to the other. It's inexcusable, it's incomprehensible, and because of the lawsuit that we filed a week ago, I'm arguing that it's unconstitutional too. So yes, looking forward to joining you tomorrow in Spring Lake.
All right, fantastic. I want to get to Mayor Tim Donahue. By the way, you got to find an opportunity for this guy to get more involved with your party because he's got it going on. You know, Tim, you were talking earlier. I was fascinated about the fact that New Jersey and like a lot of these other states have continued to give power over to the executives. And I want to read a text I got. Let me find it if I can. Okay, from Steve in Richmond. He says, John, the younger generation grew up after 9/11, where they need to be protected, but couldn't even say where the threat was coming from. For instance, we were not allowed to say Islamic terrorists. So they had to be protected from everything. Why is it a shocker that they will not say the Wuhan virus and anything negative about China? They need to be protected from everything. That's their mantra. Stay at home in your pajamas. Mail me a check. Tim?
Well, look, as we discussed earlier, it took us 50 years to get here. We're not going to get all this back in a week.
Right.
This is symptomatic. It's been ingrained in our schools, in our popular culture, in our government. This slow, that's the very definition of progressive, right? It's a slow seizure of control over time. And this is a result. And as I said earlier, when you hear small business owners who are Democrats lamenting the fact that they can't open and they have no power, and I said, well, that's why I never understood how you could be a Democrat as a small business owner. So maybe this is a wake-up call that we need. Hopefully it's not too late, that we can start to push back. We do have some great momentum here in New Jersey in the Republican Party. Most people wouldn't believe that outside of of our borders, but Doug has done a great job, especially with finding great congressional candidates. I think we have a real chance to take some of those seats. As far as me getting more involved, I am the vice chair of the county party. I've run a lot of local campaigns, so I'm good right where I am. Happy and proud to be the mayor of Middle Township, and I'm actually on the ballot this year. So I have plenty of work to do locally here, and Doug will tell you that's how we win elections. We win them locally. We win them on the ground.
Now, Doug, at the break, Tim and I were discussing that this may be a good time to revisit the Constitution in New Jersey, the reforms passed in 1947 under
Correct.
the late Justice Brennan. I think we have the most powerful governor in the country, who appoints Attorney General, and we think that's too much power, particularly in the wake of this crisis. And maybe it's time for a constitutional convention in New Jersey to revisit that.
The very first op-ed I wrote when I got elected chairman about 2.5 years ago, the closing paragraph said that considering the dysfunction in New Jersey and how far we've fallen in 47 years, that it was perhaps time to revisit it and convene a convention. So I couldn't agree with you more. And I think the abuses that we've seen over the course of the last 2.5 months only drive that point home further.
That's exactly right. And, where we are now, I said to somebody early in this crisis, I said, what would make you think that a totally dysfunctional and corrupt government would operate better in a crisis? One of the biggest scandals in this is what's happened to our small businesses and the people that are on unemployment. When the government said, please go home, leave your jobs, close your businesses, lock down, don't worry, we will take care of you. And every day in our office, now 8, 9, 10 weeks into this, every day, all day, are people, single moms in tears. And the governor says, well, don't worry, you'll get all that money eventually. Well, can she go and pull into a gas station and say, I'll be back to pay eventually?
No, but he owns houses in Germany, Italy, Florida. The guy's a billionaire from raping people at Goldman Sachs. So he's got his millions. So this guy is.
Of course he does.
Doug, we were talking earlier. It's unbelievable the stories I've heard here in Cape May, and the fact that I now find out, Doug, that these decisions were made in Cape May by the county freeholders, and it's like, okay, so your locally elected freeholders have destroyed your life and your livelihood and taken your business away and bankrupted you, and you can't put food on the table, and they're going to get reelected? Like, who are these people, Doug?
Well, look, here's the problem from my perspective. And you talked about Governor Murphy a second ago. He's fond of saying that we're all in this together. I think we're all in the same storm, but we're in really different boats. The governor's in his yacht paddling around with the one percenters. The other 99% of New Jersey is trying to figure out how to put food on the table. The problem from my perspective is that the governor doesn't play by the rules. He doesn't even tell you what the rules are. And when you finally think you figured them out, he goes ahead and changes them. For the first 10 weeks of this, it was flatten the curve, flatten the curve, flatten the curve. Then last Monday it became, we'll reopen the economy when there's a vaccine. We have no idea when and if that'll ever be. From the outset, the governor has created classes of employers and employees. Designating businesses and employees as essential and non-essential is tantamount to picking winners and losers. And that is the government inserting itself and turning private property rights into privileges. Apparently you can't catch COVID at Walmart, but you can catch it if you go to church. 6 people can drive around the neighborhood together, but they can't sit on a beach in Cape May. You can't go to a boardwalk shop and buy sunscreen and a towel for your family, but you can walk 2 blocks inland and go to Rite Aid and get the same things. That's the basis of the suit that we filed. States are required to guarantee the same rights, the same privileges, and the same protections to all citizens. Due process prevents them from passing and enforcing laws that arbitrarily discriminate against anyone. Our contention is that is exactly what Governor Murphy has done by picking winners and losers and creating essential and non-essential businesses and employers. And, we saw fit that it was time to take him to task. So State Party was joined by Senator Mike Testa down there in Cumberland and Cape May. He was representing a bunch of individual plaintiffs, and we're asking the courts to undo at least the paper damage that Governor Murphy has done. I don't know that we're ever going to be able to undo the economic damage that he's done.
Doug, the same suit was filed in Wisconsin. Judges there overturned it, and basically Wisconsin has no rules now for any COVID-19. It's up to the local mayors to institute what they want, but the governor got stripped of his power. That's the same suit you filed in New Jersey. Do you have a judicial opportunity to get this overturned, like Wisconsin?
So my recollection of the Wisconsin suit is it's based on a little bit a different law. And correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm confusing this one with another state because there's so many. But my was there. They had a provision that emergency orders needed to be reviewed by the state legislature, and the shutdown order was actually directed by the Secretary of Health, and then it needed legislative approval, which it never got, and that was the basis for undoing it. Sadly, New Jersey has no check on our governor's executive authority. There has been legislation introduced in both houses of the Assembly and the Senate to claw back some of the governor's powers here and require legislative approval of any declaration of a state of emergency that would exceed 14 days. But as you and I sit here today, there is no similar restriction in New Jersey. So, we've all had to get creative in our approaches to trying to stop Governor Murphy from doing the things that he's been doing over the course of the last 2.5 months.
Well, Doug and Tim, I wonder if you would be interested in some sort of forum here in Cape May County about that legislation and to consider it in the broader context of reforming the state constitution. Bring together legal experts. In fact, I worked for the New Jersey Senate Majority Leader when I was at Seton Hall Law School back in the mid-'80s. And my project was to see whether the constitutionality of passing an amendment for a constitutional convention. Back in 1986, they were considering that. So I think we're overdue to revisit the fundamental governance issues here in the state of New Jersey.
No doubt.
Locally, I know that, let me go in real quick, as a local elected official and now in my 9th year, the state is not our friend. The relationship is often adversarial when it comes to overreach, power, control, approval of any kind of local project. Trying to pave a road or build a park or anything like that becomes twice as expensive and takes twice as long because of the state overreach. So I think at the local level, you'd have a lot of officials that would support that concept.
I want to thank Republican Party Chairman Doug Steiner for being with us. I want to thank our host here, Lorraine Nicholson at the Doctor's Inn. Also want to thank the innkeeper, Jerry. She's been sweet as can be. I've had such a great time here. I'm sorry to leave. Also want to thank Mike Penders for joining us for 2 days. Mike, thank you.
Well, I've been upgraded from crashing the party to joining. Thank you for that.
You must have brought the beer.
He grows on you like crabgrass, but now I like him. Also want to thank my new BFF, Tim Donahue. I love this guy. Mayor of Middle Township, Republican. I could see him in the state Senate. I can see him running for Congress. This guy's got something going on here. He gets it. I want to thank everybody for making our stay in Cape May fantastico. Thank you.